My name is Caroline. I'm 53. And I never thought I'd become the kind of woman who forgets what it feels like to be touched with love. But here I am, sitting alone, turning memories over in my head like old photographs I can't throw away. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when David, my husband, made me feel alive. Desired. Even worshipped, in his quiet way. He used to kiss me like I mattered. Now his kisses feel like check marks. Obligations. A peck on the cheek in the morning. A brush of lips before bed. His hands are still warm, but the way he holds me, it's different. Like he's already letting go. It's not just him, though. I've changed too. I've started to flinch when he touches me. Not because I don't want him to, but because I want more than just emotions. I want presence. I want softness without expectation. Cuddling that isn't followed by silence or sleep. I want to feel chosen again. And I don't. Not anymore. I didn't realize how far I'd slipped away until last month. The night he left town for a conference. I watched him throw his suitcase in the car without even turning to wave. And then Lucas came back. His son. He was only supposed to stop by for the weekend. Just to pick something up, maybe crash for the night. But something shifted. The way he looked at me. The way he stayed close. The way he listened. That weekend, something I'd buried for years started to surface. And I remember the exact moment I knew I was in trouble. It was the moment he sat on my bed. And didn't leave. David is a surgeon. A good one. Respected. Efficient. People trust him with their lives, but when it comes to emotions, he's always been clinical. He tries, in his way. When he's home, he brings me tea without asking. He kisses my shoulder before heading to the hospital at 5:30 in the morning. He holds me in bed like he's afraid of letting go, but somehow, it always feels like he already has. That Saturday morning, the day after he left town, I found the note he left on the counter. Be back Sunday night. Don't forget to lock the side door. Love you. Love you. Like a routine. Like brushing teeth or checking your pulse. Later that day, Lucas arrived. He let himself in with the spare key. He hadn't called ahead, and for a moment, I froze. No makeup, robe tied too loosely, hair still damp from the shower. Didn't mean to scare you, he said. Just needed to grab some things I left here. You okay? That question hit harder than it should have. I'm fine, I lied. He smiled, that slow, warm smile he got from his mother, not David. You don't have to be. I almost thanked him for saying it. But instead, I turned away and reached for a coffee mug, just to have something to hold. And that's the thing, isn't it? David holds my body, but Lucas sees my silence. David kisses my lips, but Lucas watches my eyes. And yet, when David touches me, I flinch. When Lucas brushes past me, I don't. And I don't know what that says about me. Or what it means about what's coming. That evening, I stood at the kitchen counter chopping vegetables when David called. I put him on speaker, more out of habit than desire. Hey. How's the house? Still standing, I replied, trying to sound light. He chuckled. You miss me? I paused, then lied. Of course. I'll make it up to you, he said, voice dropping into that familiar tone. First night back, no clothes, no excuses. I smiled so he could hear it, but inside, I was already drifting. After we hung up, I stood still for a while. Knife in hand. Garlic on my fingers. And this strange hollowness in my chest. Later that night, I showered, put on the silk nightgown he likes, the one he bought years ago that started to cling in all the wrong places. I was trying. At least, I thought I was. Lucas was in the guest room. The air between us was still strange, too warm, too thick with unspoken things. I kept to myself, told myself boundaries still mattered. But the moment I got into bed, I felt it, the tension in my body as if bracing for impact. Even alone, I felt watched. Judged. Wanted, but not known. The next night, when David got back, he slid into bed behind me and kissed the back of my neck. His hand moved to my hip. He whispered, "I missed this." And I didn't move. I didn't respond. When his hand slipped lower, I flinched, not visibly, but just enough that I felt it echo through my spine. He didn't notice. He kissed me again. Slower this time. And all I could think was, why does everything have to turn into sex? It was Sunday evening. David had just returned. We were sitting across from each other at the dining table, steak, wine, a little jazz playing low from the kitchen speaker. He was trying. "Next time," he said, "you should come with me. We could turn it into a getaway." I nodded, pushing asparagus around my plate. "You'd like Boston in the fall," he added, pouring more wine into my glass. "It's romantic." And that word, romantic, hit me like a slap. I looked at him. Really looked. His crisp shirt. His watch glinting in the soft light. His hands, capable and certain, resting on the table like he knew where everything in his life belonged. "Except me." "I'm tired," I blurted out. He raised an eyebrow. "You barely touched your food." "No, David. I'm tired of this." My voice cracked before I could steady it. Tired of pretending. Of sitting across from someone who only notices me when I'm wearing silk or saying yes. His eyes narrowed. "Where is this coming from?" I stood up abruptly. "From nowhere. From everywhere. From the space between your touches that feels colder every night." He stared at me, mouth parting like he was ready to argue, but nothing came out. I walked away from the table, chest tight, throat burning. I didn't mean to cry, but I did. Softly. Quietly. Alone in the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror. Mascara smudged. Lipstick faded. Mouth trembling. And all I could think was, how did I become this woman? The one who cries over steak. The one who pulls away. The one who can't tell if she's lonely. Or just too ashamed to admit who she wants comfort from now. The days that followed were quieter than usual. Not the sharp kind of silence filled with anger, this was heavier. Muted. Like we were both waiting for someone to speak first and neither of us had the right words. David stopped asking if I wanted coffee in the morning. He left earlier than normal, came home later. He still kissed me goodnight, but it felt like muscle memory. And I didn't lean in anymore. I missed him. God, I missed him. Not just the man, but the way he used to make me feel. The way we used to laugh at stupid movies in bed. The way he used to reach for my hand in crowded places, like he didn't want to lose track of me. Somewhere along the line, he did. One night, I heard him in the guest room. He wasn't sleeping there, not yet, but he sat on the edge of the bed like he didn't know where else to be. Hands folded. Shoulders hunched. The same way Lucas had sat on mine, just a week before. That's when I saw it. David wasn't angry. He was hurt. He looked like a man slowly realizing he'd been pushed out of something he thought was still his. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel righteous or cold. I felt small. Like I had taken something fragile and let it slip through my fingers without knowing how to hold it anymore. I went back to our room and sat on the edge of the bed. I stared at the sheets, wondering if they still smelled like Lucas. Wondering if guilt was the only thing I had left to feel. I didn't know if I wanted to try again. Or walk away before I crossed that line again. It was late. Rain against the windows. The kind of night where everything feels heavier than it should. David came into the bedroom quietly, like he wasn't sure if he was still welcome there. He didn't say anything. just stood at the door with that tired look in his eyes, not angry, just worn down. "I don't know what you want from me anymore," he said. I looked at him, tears already stinging the back of my throat. "I don't know either." He sat at the edge of the bed, same spot he always used to sit when he'd take off his shoes and ask about my day. He didn't do that now. He just looked down at his hands. "You pull away when I touch you," he said quietly. "I know. I don't want to force anything. I never did." "I know that too." There was a long silence. Not hostile. Just defeated. Then, gently, he reached out and placed his hand over mine. No pressure. Just warmth. Familiar and far away. "I still love you," he said. I didn't say it back. Not because it wasn't true. But because it didn't feel like enough. He leaned forward and kissed my forehead. A small thing. Tender. Grieving. Then he stood, walked to the couch in the corner of the room, and lay down. Still in his work clothes. Facing the wall. I turned out the lamp. The room felt colder than ever. And as I lay there, still, silent, staring at the ceiling, all I could think was, "He's here, but he's already gone." And I let him leave the bed. Because I didn't trust myself to ask him to stay. I think sometimes we confuse being wanted with being seen. And for a while, I was starving to feel either. I used to believe love was something you earned by being good, good wife, good partner, good woman. Quiet when he needed peace. Warm when he needed comfort. But never too much. Never inconvenient. Somewhere in that pattern, I lost myself. Lucas saw me in a moment when I was unraveling. Not because he was looking for something, but because I was. He didn't touch me that night, not really, but his presence filled a space David had long abandoned. And for a second, I let myself believe that was love. But love, real love, isn't about timing or glances or lonely weekends. It's not about who stays in your bed, it's about who stays when everything else falls apart. David stayed. Not perfectly. Not easily. But he stayed. And maybe that's not romantic. Maybe it doesn't make my heart race or my skin burn. But it matters. I don't know what comes next for us. There's a distance now that may never fully close. But I know I have to stop waiting for someone else to make me feel whole. Desire without intimacy is just noise. And love without presence is just memory. So this is me, choosing to be awake again. To feel again. Even if it hurts. Because I'm done being touched by people who don't know where I ache. And I'm done aching in silence, waiting for someone to notice.